Alrighty. I'm gonna turn this down a little bit. Alrighty, hello everyone. Oh, my hair is like weird. I'm trying a new thing with the hair. We're gonna see how it works. It's, I don't know, dumb. But hello everyone. This side, huh? Okay. Welcome to another Pagan book club. We are doing modern. We are reading modern witchcraft. There's usually more people here. There is usually more people. We just started, so it's fine. All right. So we are talking about modern witchcraft with Greek religion, with Greek gods by Jason Mankey. Mankey. I don't know how to say that. Okay. Whatever. I'll move my music up here so I can also put this here. So many windows open. So many. Oh wait, it's book club. I can put this on this side. Silly. There we go. Now I can see both chats. So much easier. So much easier. All right. So we did not get to finish last time's section, which was the last section was Demeter of the two that we were reading. So I'm going to turn down my music volume because that's too loud for me to think. So I get the sticker off my stupid Apple. All right. I have to turn down the music for me because it's too loud. Okay, let's see. Yeah, that should be maybe a little lower. There you go. That should be it. It's like a third to half of my volume. Yeah, sure. All right. I went too far. So we're on page 90. Let me also copy out. All the links here. We're going to put that there. I'm also going to throw out the beacons link on the stream, as well as in the Discord. All right. Wait, I just supposed to say starting soon on the restream. Maybe it's just not update? Question mark. It just wasn't updating. Okay. So, Demeter is the goddess of plants and agriculture, especially grain. Her name, which is sometimes this side, which is sometimes synonymous with a loaf of bread, is a combination of the Greek word da, which is earth, and meter, which is mother. I don't know why it's synonymous with a loaf of bread, but okay. So let's just cover here. Greece had not good growing conditions. They had poor soil, and grain was considered the most basic necessity for survival. We read in earlier chapters that the agricultural environment was not the greatest in Greece. So of course, Demeter was very important. There's a description here, actually here. She's often portrayed as a seated woman with rich golden hair, the color of ripe grain. She wears a dark robe and holds a scepter, a poppy flower, or a sheaf of grain. Her animal is the pig, and she can also turn into a horse. I did not know that until this chapter, which makes sense if we go later into the chapter. Let's see. So Demeter is thought to have originated in the Bronze Age, where she was worshipped as like the mother goddess or like nature itself, kind of like Gaia is, right? The parallels between the seasonal myth of Demeter and that of the Mesopotamian goddess Detur. I don't know how the pronunciation works here. Who also searched for her son after he was taken to the underworld. So, like, there's these parallels between the deities and different pantheons. And we know that sometimes some deities are, like, the qualities are based off of their counterpart of another pantheon. We're not saying that here. I'm just saying, like, that's one of the things we talked about last time. I love how they say it's unknown exactly when X god arrived in Greece. It's not like when they started being talked about or when they were created. It's when they arrived. And every time I hear that, I think of like the Emperor's New Groove of like him just going like, whoosh, I'm here. And like, yes. So the ancient records do place Demeter in Elysius. Yeah. Yes, Rome having gods that are based off of some of the Greek gods. Yes, 100%. There was also, we mentioned it later in here, but it looks like an Egyptian deity might have gotten some of their traits from Demeter. So we're gonna get to that later in the chapter, though. Ancient records place Demeter at Elysius, her most powerful sanctuary, about 1400 BCE. Which was when the first field of wheat was planted. I think that's pretty cool. Politus, the generous god of wealth, also known as the god of grain underground. Did not know that. Just decided to highlight it for that. But they do talk a lot in this chapter more than once is the notion of like having a good time in a field, like repeated more than once. I think it's like 3 times. So Zeus pursued Demeter while they were horses. I was like, oh, this is why they mentioned the horses thing earlier. Because I had never heard that. Afterwards, she had Kore, also known as Persephone. Their union may have been a reference for how fertile rains and lightning blessings from Zeus, quote unquote, help fertilize the fields and help crops grow. Right? So there's also the Elysian Mysteries. I love the Elysian Mysteries. I think they're so much fun. And we do some, obviously, like we do with a lot of other events, we do some fun activities in HH and like, yeah. We've done a scavenger hunt many times where people were helping Demeter find, you know, Persephone about like finding clues and stuff. And they were like IRL scavenger hunt, basically. Which was pretty fun. Victoria remembers she has not taken her meds, so everyone go and take your meds. I'm like, whoops, did I forget something? Yes. And that. And this. Wait, there's too many of these in here. Shoot. 2, 3, 4... 5. Everyone go and take your meds and your drinky drink or snacky snack if you have them, or vitamins. If you don't go, is it even worth drinking? Like, seriously? So let's see, the Elysian Mysteries. Many people know about the story. So part of the story about Demeter looking for Kore was that she eventually found some maidens at a well who told her about a royal baby that needs care. After speaking with the baby's mother and accepting a drink of whatever, barley water, Demeter agreed to care for the child. Now, at this time, she was wandering around pretending to be like an old lady, like a grandma, basically, and being like, I know how to care for kids. But every night, she bathed him in ambrosia and then put him in the fire to make him a god. I don't know how many times you have to do that to make somebody a god. I feel like the number is a lot. So when the mom discovered this, Demeter revealed herself, right? And this is where it is. Here it is. Curiously, the myth from the maiden well to this point is nearly the same as the Egyptian goddess Aset, whom the Greeks called Isis, sorry. Another Earth Mother who created seasons. Historians have determined that the Greek myth influenced the Egyptian one. So just like we were saying, how like the Romans and the Greeks have a lot of similarities, or some of it taken from each other. Very interesting that there's also, and that it's like actually determined. It's not just speculation. That this Greek myth about Demeter affected the ones about Isis. Mm-hmm. So this is just a story of Kore, also known as Persephone, being, married to Hades, blah, blah, blah. So the Eleusinian, there you go. The Eleusinian mysteries were known as the greater rites, and were held in Eleusis. Those rites have been called the most important ritual of Greek society. Thousands of people were initiated each year, although it seems like those initiates were carefully chosen. Potential initiates were required to undergo preparation ritual, and only those who had not killed anyone. The fact like that's a thing that needs to be the differentiator. Okay, here 1,000 of you people, raise your hands. Who of you have killed somebody? Everyone's raising their hands. Like, okay, all of you, y'all can just go home. Like, seriously, I feel like that should be harder to like sift through. But yeah, I feel like that like the criteria should be higher. But I'm just saying, like. So, those who were properly cleansed, pious, and inherently good were accepted. In order to be fully initiated, participants need to experience the mysteries twice, usually in consecutive years. The Eleusinian mysteries were lauded by many people as life-changing. The details of the rites were kept secret by oath-bound participants, and if were revealed, were punishable by law. That's interesting, right? The Eleusinian rites started with several events in Athens on the 15th of Bodraminia, I don't know. The first 5 days consisted of festivities, lessons to like prepare the initiates, purification rituals. Well, also remember that like cities and stuff were smaller, so like you probably were up. It's probably like the similarly to living in a small town where everyone's up in everyone's business. And how do you decide is inherently good? Well, there is also the maxims. There's also like personal relationships. Like if people are volunteering and stuff, you're gonna get to know them a lot better. I wager those would probably be the easy ones first. So if you're looking at a temple, like you would like say, okay, like if a church these days has 10 staff, a temple probably had as much staff, if not more. Yes. Streaming. Okay. Drive safe. So there's that as well. Yeah, so like I'm sure that there were criteria. Some of them we could guess, like the Delphic maxims. Like also people like knew each other. And if you're thinking like, it's not just the people who like work at a temple, right? People who visit the temple a lot for whatever reason. There are people who were maybe like merchants, and they would sell particular stuff to particular members of the community, or like I said, maybe the temple. And so say you have an initiate that's like, you know them because they volunteer a lot, and then they know, you know, this person and that person and that person, right? So now you're having referrals basically. And if you're saying, oh, well, I'm like 90% sure that this person's a great candidate, then I could say I'm 60% sure that these people that the person who is the great candidate recommended are probably good people. Do our research, but that probably helps identify and sift through some people, right? To a certain extent. So the first 5 days consisted of festivities, lessons to prepare the initiates, and purification rites such as cleansing in the sea or a sacrifice of piglets, blah, blah, blah. On the 5th day, participants donned myrtle garlands and walked in a grand procession on a 14, oh my god. No wonder they had to train up for it. On a 14-mile journey. Dudes, I would probably be dead at like 5 or 6. Are you insane? I would be dead. For 8 days. 8 days. They walked through the sacred locations. I feel like they took breaks. They said they walked on a grand procession on a 14-mile journey. And that for 8 days they walked through sacred locations. So I think this may have been a broken up activity. Eventually, the initiates reached the Maiden Well on the outskirts of... I think so. I think this is like a multi-day trip. I don't know. Whatever. Yes. Jesus. All right. There we go. There we go. Sorry, my mic died for a second. Okay, here we are. Where the priestesses sang and danced, and the initiates were purified with water. First year initiates may have been blindfolded here as well. I love this, and I think this is hilarious, and I want us to do it. I want to do it. It sounds like good fun. It sounds fun. So when the skies were completely dark, the sanctuary doors to Elysius opened, and the participants walked by torchlight, silent and perhaps with a chorus of singers. Priests and priestesses dramatically acted out parts of the gods and the initiates as the initiates journeyed through the places mentioned in the Homeric hymn to Demeter. They even walked past the entrance to Hades. It's likely that initiates helped Demeter search for Kore with torches. Before the climax of the ritual and entrance to the largest temple, the priests gave initiates some drink mixed with a potion of water, barley, pennyroyal, and some kind of mint. So there is the notion that is that drink hallucinogenic, because as we know, hallucinogenics were not unheard of. So now, ultimately, it seems that okay, here some scholars believe that this was made with ergot. It's a fungus commonly found on barley and other grains, and while other scholars believe it's not likely whatsoever, the theory remains highly contested and with respected scholars on both sides. Now, the reason is because if you eat enough of this, I guess it can be a hallucinogenic. However, they do believe that this was unlikely because where was it? Okay, it's in here. I don't remember, but they believe it's unlikely. There it is, right there. The amount of ergot needed to intoxicate all of the initiates would have left a huge agricultural footprint, and there's very little evidence to back that up. So, like, while it is a hallucinogenic, like, it would take a lot. And so they're like, Now, they do note on here that there's also other herbs could be used. They found an opium pipe at one of Demeter's sanctuaries in Cyprus, and she is also associated with poppies, which is where opium comes from. And then the expectation of imbibing a magical drink after a prolonged time of extreme physical activity, it sounds like, of the unfolding mysteries could promote an altered state of mind, much like a placebo. Or if you did, like, there's also meditative breathing where you can go into like trance-like breathing or use exercises like that in order to make yourself go into a trance-like state. It's just like controlled breathing. I've never done it, I should say that, but like it is purely just breathing. The final stop at the Eleusinian rites was the massive Telesterion, an enclosed place and one of the largest temples ever constructed in the ancient world. Super fucking cool. I want to see if we can see size. I want to see how big it is. Wow. Okay, it was designed to accommodate thousands of people, right? It's approximately 170 feet by it's almost a square. 170 by 177 feet. That's huge. Okay, so it's about half the size of a football field. And I think this also has, yeah, so it's a football field in length is anywhere between 300 to 360 feet. So you're looking for a little over half of the size of an average football field. So it's 170 feet, right? So 300 is 150. That's really big. That's really big. Yeah. I know there's a lot of big buildings from back then, but that's big now. That was massive back then. All of that was hand labor. That's insane. So they were initiated by the Hierophant, Demeter's high priest. He spoke sacred words that revealed the secret items to initiate. One oathbreaker reported that the big reveal was a sheaf of grain. Next, initiates came face to face with a priestess acting as Demeter. This is important, right? They're not saying that this person was a vessel for Demeter. They are not saying that this person was being controlled by Demeter or anything like that. This person is acting the part of Demeter in the ritual, right? So, she crowned them and represent with garland. It represents peaceful victory. Wow. Okay, here you go. The Testerion, which at its largest could hold up to 3,000 people in the tiers. Wow. It's a lot of people. This likely induced the concept of special afterlife and eventual reincarnation, which are both gifts from Persephone, right? Okay. So that was that part. I thought, like, I learned a little bit. I knew most of this, but I learned a little bit more. And I love the Eleusinian mysteries. Maybe I just love mysteries. I don't know. But I just thought it was really cool that we got to learn a little bit more about the mysteries. Now, the mysteries bound the people of Greece together and gave them a transcendent first-hand experience of the gods. I love that because, again, it highlights how much community was so important in, like, everything. So, community is a massive part of paganism and a massive part of Hellenism. And the fact that this was a secret thing and the secret thing had thousands of people, that's so cool. And I love this that they mentioned Demeter and Kore's relationship is one of profound love and closeness. And although many Greek gods had children, this appears to be one of the only loving mother-daughter relationships in all of Greek mythology. And I just think it's really cute because, yeah, it is a really loving mother-daughter relationship. Even if sometimes the mother might be going a little far. Okay. So, one of the other important festivals that occurred all over Greece was Thesmorphia, which is a 3-day. Apparently, it was a 3-day retreat for married women and concubines, which I thought was fucking hilarious. Because I was like, oh, so like they're just sitting and dishing about the husbands and the guys now because of course the concubines know all the things, right? It's like a hairdresser these days. You want to find someone who knows dirt? Go talk to a hairdresser or a bartender. They'll tell you everything you need to know. They camped out on Demeter's hilltop sanctuary, dug pits, and made offerings of piglets into the pits. But it wasn't all serious, right? They go around told each other indecent jokes, baked bread into snakes and male genitalia, which were also sacrificed. I love this, and I would 100% put one of these on. I think this sounds like so much fun. Let's just all go talk about our love of the gods, Demeter, and let's tell, horrible jokes. Probably watch some plays, some stories, right? And just make fun of snakes and male genitalia. I don't know. It just sounds like a hoot. Let's all go bake bread together and like make indecent jokes. Yes, I'm here for this. Yeah, and women also acted out the loss of Cora, so yeah, they theater and stuff. It was thought that the festival helped transition, girls into wives and promoted the fertility of women and the land. And the name is relative to one of Demeter's epithets, which is lawgiver, which makes sense because Zeus is the father of Cora, Persephone. So this is really cool. In 760 BCE, a severe famine ravaged the crops near Athens, and the people consulted the Oracle of Delphi, who told them to make a sacrifice to Demeter before the harvest. They did, and it was fine. It was great, and so they just kept doing it. So that being said, Demeter did also have parts in the non-agricultural aspects of Greece and Greek magic as well, and her name, I guess, was found on several curse tablets, which is very interesting that we have curse tablets. They were often from a woman who wanted to curse another woman who had done her wrong. Fair. Other magical requests to Demeter included justice, punishments, and curses for others to feel illness and pain. Demeter was also invoked for protection against witchcraft. The Eleusinian mysteries were popular in many parts of the world, and people traveled long distances to partake in them. Look, LA has some pretty dope pride parades and stuff, right? I could totally see someone coming from a few hours away. In fact, I have met people who drive regularly at least an hour to go to like events that happen near my neck of the woods. And I'm always like, you drove an hour to be here? Look, I know this place is awesome and this party's like really great, but like I wouldn't drive more than a half hour. Like I've literally told that to people. I was like, no. It was an hour away from me for Ren Fair, and I did not drive that whole way. I drove to someone's house, and then they drove the rest of the way because I was like, I'm not driving an hour. I'm like, no. But yeah, so it makes tons of sense because people still do it today. Now, unfortunately, some people were douchewads, and in 395 CE, Elysius was sacked by the Goths, who destroyed the temples and lies in ruins to this day. I know that they're not talking about Goths like Goth people today, but I just think the imagery of like a bunch of Goth kids ransacking a temple sounds freaking hilarious to me. Like in full, traditional Goth outfits, stereotypical Goth outfits. I just think that's fucking hilarious. Obviously that's not who we're talking about. But yeah, just hilarious imagery. Demeter's rites are thought to have greatly influenced Christianity. The most notable similarities include an earthly mother who conceived a child with a sky god. A child was taken, sorrow for the loss, and a reunion, right? Makes total sense. It definitely parallels some tales, and there's apparently 2 other spiritual tales. Is among the sacrifice of the child to create life after death, and later assisting those who are initiated to a better afterlife, right? So there's definitely a few parallels between some of these myths and religious tales. I don't know. So, but the title of Demeter's high priestess lived on. The Hierophant became a title of in a Catholic order, and of course is very well known as far as in regards to tarot cards as being part of the major arcana cards. Until the removal of Demeter's statue from Elysius in the early 1800s, local villagers continued to give her garlands of flowers in return for good harvest. So this is not that far long ago, really. The history of humanity on this planet is really small in contrast to like how long the planet's actually been around, right? So like something happening in the 1800s is not that far ago. It's like I don't know how many generations. I can't do math. But people were still giving offerings. And one of Demeter's oldest myths lives on to the day. It's like ritualized sex that happens in plowed fields in many areas of Greece to secure blessings. You know, I mean, if you need a reason, I feel like you can find a reason. But you don't need a reason to, you know, go do things in wherever. I mean, I'm not encouraging things in fields because, I mean, sanitary reasons, but you know, you do you. I'm not here to judge. I will wash my crops though, if I ever have crops. These days Demeter is mostly known as like a motherly and a parental magic, as well as to protect kids from harms. She is also called upon for green witchcraft, makes sense. And Demeter assists with natural cycles because like seasons, crops, part of us bloom, mature, bear fruit, and go older and die, right? Now we do have the personal story. I hate that it never tells the stupid name of the person because I definitely want to mention it. Okay, let's just go find the place where it tells that though. Guest passages, here we go. Guest passages from Demeter is done by Lady Belladonna Levu. So there we go. You go to page like 65. There we go. Is it 60? Is this Zeus? This is Zeus. I thought we were on 60. Oh, okay. Hold on. Poseidon, blah, blah, blah. Demeter. Here we are. Okay. So as per everything, we don't read everything. This is a personal story in regards with Demeter, so I didn't particularly have anything that I had to say further on this. I did think it was really sweet that they mentioned like they were chosen to carry Demeter in 2018, the year before the indications of the upcoming COVID pandemic, which was of course a time where a lot of people got sick and about things that happening with the food supply and stuff like that. So I was like, oh, that's like, yeah, totally makes sense. Like there were things about like the food and diet in here. Let me see. I don't think there was a lot. Here we go. Lady Belladonna Laveau was an archetype priestess at the Aquarian Tabernacle Church, and she's been fighting for pagan civil rights for over 40 years. As a published author responsible for bringing wiccanseminary.edu online. I want to know that. Did I spell it right? I may not have. No, I spelled it right. Is it online? I hope it's still around. We're gonna check. It's still going, so we don't know. So there's an abundance ritual here. I have to say the rituals in here have been really, really cool. And oh no, the site cannot be reached. No, it's not coming up. Of course we have some prayers as well. And that's the end of the Demeter section, actually. So next week we're going to be working on Apollo. I shouldn't have just highlighted that. Oops. And that is on page 105. Copy that too. Throw that into book club. I always scroll too much. There it is. Jump to present. Oh, it didn't copy. Apollo, page 1. What page are we on? 105. Brilliant. Well, thank you everyone for joining. And yeah, catch us next week. We're gonna be doing the section on Apollo. And yeah, honestly, there wasn't a lot in this section. Are we doing Selene? Is there a section on Selene in here? I wasn't sure. I can't remember if it just did the Olympians or not. There. Selene! Yeah, there are. Yes. There's an appendix of Greek calendars, holidays, and celebrations. What? I need to see that appendix. Oh, that's just the big ones. Is it the other small ones in here? Yes! Oh, I'm gonna enjoy this. This is actually really helpful to, I think, the to the resource committee. I'm just gonna copy all of these. Maybe I'll just tell them this book and the page is 384 of the appendix. But yeah. So brilliant. Oh, I'm gonna have to bug the resource committee because they are in charge of the calendar for the year. So all right, everyone, that is it for book club. I hope you'll have a wonderful day and may the gods bless you on your journeys.